Greetings and a warm welcome to the Manifested e-learning platform. We continue with the subject governance and compliance audit. The topic is engagement and appointment. Today we are moving to the last subtopic, which is Inception report. So far we've done the first subtopic, designing terms of reference. That's number 1. Number 2, designing scope of work and request for proposal. We did the tendering and procuring audit processes. Number 4, designing proposal. Number 5, qualification requirements. Number 6, negotiating fees amount, structure and timelines. We also did the acceptance and professional appointments. Then in our last lesson, we discussed the award and execution of a contract. Award and execution of a contract was our last subtopic. Today we are moving to the Inception report. Now, in this lesson, we will define what an Inception report is. We will discuss the purpose of an Inception report. Then we will get into the contents of an Inception report. We are going to do 3 things. First, we will define Inception report. Number 2, purpose of an Inception report. Then the contents of an Inception report. So firstly, let's define an Inception report. An Inception report is a preliminary document that is submitted by the auditor shortly after the formal engagement has commenced, but before substantive fieldwork begins. You recall in our last lesson we discussed the award and execution. We went through the contents of an engagement letter. We discussed the engagement letter and did see that an engagement letter is a written formal agreement between the auditor and the auditee client, and it signifies the commencement or the formal agreement between the 2 parties. An Inception report here now we are saying is a preliminary document that is submitted by the auditor shortly after the formal agreement. After signing the engagement letter, then the auditor submits a formal engagement, a formal document to the client before substantive fieldwork begins, and it serves as a foundational agreement and detailed plan for the audit, ensuring that both the client and the audit team have a shared understanding of the engagement. It's particularly important for complex engagements like governance and compliance audits, where the scope can be broad and require deep dive into organizational internal workings and regulatory adherence. So it is a document that is submitted to the client by the auditor shortly after the formal agreement has commenced, but before substantive fieldwork begins. So what is the purpose of this report? Purpose. Let's get into it. What is the purpose of an Inception report? Purpose. What is the purpose? Now, the first purpose is to confirm understanding. Confirm, 1. Confirm understanding. Confirm understanding. The Inception report demonstrates the auditor's in-depth understanding of the client's business, its environment, the scientific or specific objectives of the audit, and the agreed upon scope of work as outlined in the request for proposal and the engagement letter. So the Inception report confirms that understanding. That's the purpose. The second purpose of an Inception report is that it is a detailed audit plan. Detailed audit plan. It presents a detailed methodology and work plan for how the audit will be conducted, including key activities, including timelines, and also resource allocation. The third purpose of an Inception report is that it establishes communication channels. The report establishes communication channels. It defines the lines of communication between the audit team and the client's management and staff. This report can also identify potential challenges. Identify potential challenges. That means highlighting any anticipated challenges, risks, or areas requiring client support to ensure a smooth audit process. Another reason for having this report is to set expectations. It is through this Inception report that expectations are set. It ensures mutual understanding and agreement on the process, deliverables, and also responsibilities, which minimizes misunderstandings later in the agreement. 6. The Inception report is the basis for commencement of the audit work. Basis for commencement. It is the basis for commencement of the audit work. It officially marks the operational start of the audit project. So these are 6 reasons why the Inception report is important. Now let's get into the contents of this report. What is contained in an Inception report? Now, while the specific content may vary based on the engagement's complexity and client's requirements, a comprehensive Inception report for governance and compliance audit typically includes the introduction. It must have an introduction. There must be an introduction to this Inception report. Introduction and also background. What do I mean by introduction and background? Introduction and background means having a brief overview of the engagement. It may also involve reference to the engagement letter and the specific mandate. It could be annual governance audit as per CMA code, legal compliance audit. It may also acknowledge the client's objectives as understood by the auditor. The client's objectives as understood by the auditor. So that is contained in the introduction and the background of an Inception report. Number 2 is auditor's understanding of the client. Part of this Inception report is the auditor's understanding of the client. The auditor's understanding of the client. The Inception report demonstrates a clear understanding of the client's business operations, the legal structure, the industry, and the key governance and compliance challenges that it faces. It may highlight an awareness of the relevant regulatory environments, like the specific sector regulations, like the Companies Act, the Data Protection Act, the PFM Act, the CMA Code, the Mongozo Code, and specific sector regulations like those from the Central Bank of Kenya, those from the SASRA or the Insurance Regulatory Authority as applicable. So it demonstrates an auditor's understanding of the client and the environment in which the client operates. That is also part of an Inception report. The third content of an Inception report is refined audit objectives. Refined audit. It contains refined audit objectives. Refined audit objectives. It reiterates the agreed upon audit objectives as detailed in the engagement letter, ensuring there is no deviation or misunderstanding. Number 4 is detailed scope of work. An Inception report also contains a detailed scope of work. Detailed scope of work. It contains detailed scope of work. It presents the precise scope of the audit, detailing the specific governance pillars, compliance areas like tax, labor, environmental, data protection, anti-bribery, and so on. Okay? That is detailed scope of work. Then we have proposed audit methodology. Within this Inception report, we have proposed audit methodology. Proposed audit methodology. Proposed audit methodology. Proposed audit methodology is also part of an Inception report. It could be a phased approach where the report details the audit process in phases like planning, fieldwork, and reporting. It may also include data collection methods, specifics on how information will be gathered, for example, document reviews, interviews with specific personnel, process walkthroughs. It could be through observation or data analytics tools. It could be through review of internal audit reports, regulatory filings, and so on. So the Inception report will contain the first, for example, the methodology. It could be phased approach. One phased approach. What will be the method or methodology for collecting audit evidence? Phased approach. It may have also data collection methods. Data collection. How will the evidence be gathered? That should be part of an Inception report. There could also be sampling strategy. Sampling strategy. Sampling strategy will also help in understanding the audit methodology. If applicable, the report may explain the proposed sampling approach for compliance testing. You understand? Then there is also criteria for assessment. It may also contain criteria for assessment. Criteria for assessment. That is part of the proposed audit methodology. What will be the criteria for assessment? The report reconfirms the specific benchmarks and standards that will be used for evaluation. It could be a section of the CMA code, or even clauses of Mongozo, or specific articles of Data Protection Act. Another point is risk-based. Risk-based approach. This indicates how the auditor plans to prioritize areas based on identified governance and compliance risks. So these are 6 important points, or 5 important points on proposed audit methodology. Candidates, we are studying the contents of an Inception report. And the fifth content is proposed audit methodology. The sixth one is audit team and roles. This report will contain the audit and their roles and their specific roles, audit team and roles. The report introduces the specific audit team members, their roles, and their relevant qualifications. For example, the Institute of Certified Secretaries Accredited Governance Auditor, we may have the LSK registered advocate or a certified public accountant, and so on. So it also provides contact details of key team members. All right. Then we also have roles and responsibilities of client personnel, of the client's personnel. That is also part of an Inception report, the roles and responsibilities of client personnel. The report clearly outlines the responsibilities of the client's management and staff in facilitating the audit, and this includes providing timely access to requested documents and information. It also includes ensuring availability of key personnel for interviews, and also providing necessary facilities like the workspace, internal or internet access, assigning a dedicated client liaison, and so on. That is roles and responsibilities of the client's personnel that will facilitate the audit process. 8 is detailed work plan and timelines. An Inception report will include a detailed work plan and timelines. It presents a realistic and granular timeline for the entire audit engagement. It also includes specific dates or date ranges for inception meeting, for fieldwork commencement and completion, for drafting submission, report submission, and also client review period for the draft report. Another key aspect of the work plan and the timeline is the management response submission. It may also have final report submission, the board audit committee presentations, and so on. You understand? Yes. Detailed work plan and timelines. And this timeline may include a Gantt chart or a similar visual representation. 9 is communication protocol. Should also be part of an Inception report, communication protocol. The Inception report specifies how communication will occur. Is it daily briefings or weekly progress meetings or formal written correspondence? The report also identifies key contact persons on both the auditors and the client sides for various matters. Communication protocol is also part of an Inception report. 10, reporting requirements. The Inception report reconfirms the format, content, and distribution of all deliverables. For example, the audit report, the management letter, the executive summary, and so on. Reporting requirements must be part of an Inception report. Then we have 11, anticipated challenges. Anticipated challenges. If there are any anticipated challenges that the auditor may face while auditing, then that also should be part of the Inception report. And that should also include the client support and the client required support. Required client. If there are challenges, then what support will the auditor receive from the client? So the Inception report proactively identifies any potential hurdles, e.g. difficulty accessing certain systems, expected heavy workload for client staff, the need for specific subject matter experts. Then it also proposes solutions and states clearly the specific support required from the client to mitigate these challenges. You understand? Yes. So these are 11 contents of an Inception report. Number 1 is introduction and background. Number 2, auditor's understanding of the client. Number 3, refined audit objectives. Number 4, detailed scope of work. Number 5, proposed audit methodology. Number 6, audit team and roles. Number 7, role and responsibilities of the client personnel in relation to the audit. Number 8, detailed work plan and timelines. Number 9, communication protocol. Number 10, reporting requirements. Number 11, anticipated challenges and required client support. So candidates, an Inception report is typically presented to the client's audit committee or the full board at an Inception meeting. And that allows for discussions, it allows for clarifications, and ultimately, a formal endorsement before the audit team fully mobilizes for fieldwork. And any adjustments requested by the client are incorporated into the final version of the Inception report, which then guides the rest of the engagement. So this Inception report is a very important document, which is a document submitted by the auditor shortly after the formal engagement, and it details the plan for the audit. So by ensuring a thorough Inception report, auditors lay a strong foundation for a successful, transparent and value-adding governance and compliance audit. And that's the end of the lesson, candidates, where we have studied the Inception report. We began by outlining the purpose of the Inception report. Having defined the Inception report, the first purpose is that it confirms understanding. It details an audit plan. It establishes communication channels. It identifies potential challenges. It also sets expectations, and it's the basis for commencement of an audit. That's the end of our today's lesson and the end of the topic on engagement and appointment. Thank you. In our next session, we are going to begin on our next lesson and chapter, which is planning for governance and compliance audits. Bye.